Welcome back. You've made some significant progress on your stable, misery-free journey so far. I want you to take a minute and just celebrate yourself. You did not have to get here, but you did. What? By now, you understand the concept of stable misery as a protective habit. And you understand that your nervous system adopts this habit in significant relationships where there is disconnection, overwhelm, or frustrating patterns. You also know that your brain employs an inner stable misery maintenance crew to make these tense relationships feel more familiar and predictable, even if that predictability comes with a little bit of misery. And finally, you know that if you want to break free from stable misery and cultivate dynamic joy and fulfillment within yourself and in your most sacred relationships, you gotta develop new habits that lead you in that direction. And that's precisely what the droplet process in this series is all about. So to recap, you began this process with the first droplet, self-awareness, by monitoring your zones and identifying the one that you tend to live in the most. Armed with this awareness, you explored the concept of following your impulses and tapping into your needs knowledge. The second droplet, the understanding of what your mind, body, and spirit truly need to bring you closer to purple. You've also had the opportunity to invite your family, including your children and your partner, to explore their own zones and communicate their needs along the way. So the first two droplets really focused on you and the small, simple steps that you can take to break free from stable misery. In this third droplet that we're going to talk about today, you're going to learn a tool or a practice rather that will help you intentionally recalibrate your, and by extension, your family's energy or vibe. Similar to how we have a nervous system, right? An individual nervous system. Our family also possesses a collective nervous system. You might perceive it as a vibe or energy that permeates your home, which you can sense through your feelings and your body sensations. And the vibe is a representation of how you think about and engage with one another in your home. It's why my YouTube channel is called Harmony in the Home, because we naturally and subconsciously harmonize and co-regulate with one another. So this vibe, it's an indication of where your family is. Okay. Now, perhaps you've experienced walking into a room and immediately feeling a certain tension or an inexplicable shift in energy when your partner enters without saying a word. Well, this is in part because our nervous system continuously scans for and interprets signals through body language and facial expressions. This is a process known as neuroception. Even though neuroception operates automatically, we often get intuitive feelings about someone based on these subtle cues. Stable misery, in particular, tends to create an energy signature of consistent low grade unfulfillment, disconnection, frustration, tension, and or overwhelm. This consistent vibe often plunges our nervous system into the red and blue zones. While it may seem like your home's vibe is something that just is, and you're powerless to change it, the truth is that you do have the power to influence it with the energy you intentionally bring. Now, caveat. I'm not suggesting that you should try to control or manipulate the feelings or moods of everyone in your home, or that you plunge into some form of toxic positivity and demand happy words only. No. What I am suggesting is that you think of stable misery as a signal that your family can use to acknowledge and shift when difficult energy is present in your home or relationships. So, how do we acknowledge and shift when difficult energy is present in our home and relationships? I'm so glad you asked. We do this with droplet number 3, energy adjustment. But before we can talk about how to adjust our personal and by extension our family's energy, we have to first explore what our family's stable misery vibe doesn't mean and what it does. You don't dread time with your family because you lack the capacity to get it together. You dread it because These unhelpful, stable misery habits your family has fallen into have led your brains, each of your brains, to associate each other not with joy, but with dread. Not with emotional safety, but with emotional overwhelm. And this is why I said at the beginning of this series that we're not going to start with date nights and family game nights and ideal schedules, not because these things aren't good, they're great. But because if you engage these activities from the wrong place energetically, they're just going to waste your time and plunge you even deeper into stable misery. Why do I say this? What do I mean by this? I coach couples, and by the time they end up on a Zoom call with me, their unhelpful habits, such as yelling or sarcasm or talking over each other or silent treatments, have gone on for so long or so intense that they no longer feel emotionally safe with one another. They're stuck in stable misery. Their nervous systems expect or are geared up for negative energy or tense vibes to be present in their relationship. In short, when they're together, they're zoned for red or blue. Well, guess what we can't do in our red zone or our blue zone? We can't connect. I don't care how many date nights or happy family movie nights you plan. Okay. So when they tell me with a discouraged tone that they're afraid their marriage is broken because they've tried date nights, after dinner walks, and scheduled time together during the week, but are still stuck in stable misery, I tell them what I'm telling you right now, which is it's difficult to enjoy a date night with your partner when there's underlying resentment or unacknowledged frustration. We can't connect with another person when our nervous system associates that person with frustration, overwhelm, tension, or annoyance. That's red zone energy. And our red zone is not zoned for connection, it's zoned for protection, which activates our stable misery maintenance crew. You see how all this comes together? Similarly, it's hard to connect with your child when your patience towards them is shot because they haven't listened to you all day or all week or all month or all year, right? Basically, in both of those situations, trying to connect when our brain is zoned to protect can actually make the family fun activities feel forced and draining because you're going against the grain of your brain. So, how can a droplet of energy adjustment help? Before engaging in these couples or family activities, take the next couple of weeks to intentionally adjust your energy towards those you care about. This isn't to say that it's all on you to fix everything. Let's be real. You can come into your house singing like Mary Poppins and levitating like a saint, and your family still might meet you with an attitude. But when you're aware of your zone, have your needs met so you feel less overwhelmed, you can choose to respond in a way that leaves you feeling empowered, confident, and more purple than you do when you lack self-awareness or have a bucket of unmet needs. And yes, sometimes smiling and walking away to let the moment cool can keep you in the right headspace. Sometimes that's a perfectly fine response. So your experiment for the week. At least once a day, take a moment to find something positive about your partner or your child. It can be something they said or did or something about them, like the essence of who they are. Sit with that thought for as long as you can, for as long as it feels good. Then think of something you're grateful towards them for. Maybe your partner fixed dinner or picked up around the house when you weren't feeling well. Maybe your child listened for the first time you asked them to put their shoes away, right? Just one thing, one thing. And then you want a stretch goal. Share that thing with them. Share what you're grateful for, what you appreciate about them, and just notice the impact it has. What happens to their body language, their energy? No expectations allowed. If you've been living in stable misery for a while, it can take everyone a moment to trust the shifts you're trying to make to bring more connection and joy into the relationship, especially teens and tweens. They are so distrusting of the initial shifts that parents I work with try to make, but eventually they warm up. Invitation to your family. Invite your family to join in on this. Maybe you and your partner share appreciations each night before bed. Or maybe you and the kids share what you're grateful to the other person for it during dinner. Again, don't force it. You don't even really have to share all of your gratitudes. Your grateful purple energy will emulate it, right? Whether you share it or not. But if you feel okay doing so, share and see what happens. Sharing can speed along the transfer of energy. Okay. It will also set you up nicely for our last droplet, which I will share with you next time. In the meantime, hit reply on this email or comment below, depending on where you're seeing this, and let me know what is one thing you appreciate about your partner or your child. These are the practices that will help your brain to begin to rewire towards yourself and your family and bring more purple into the energy of your home or relationship. This is how you adjust the energy. Okay? I'll see you next time.